Hello, and welcome to another triple product comparison from Longhorn Tactical. Today I wanted to try something special. I wanted to compare 3 tail switches from Fenix, Nitecore, and Olight that are marketed as the de facto tactical tail switch of each respective brand. For comparison, I have the Fenix PD36 TAC, the Olight M2R Pro Warrior, and the Nitecore P20i. First, let's take a look at the Fenix tail switch. You can find this style of tail switch on their latest PD36 TAC and TK11 TAC flashlights. Now, I cannot say with certainty if this is the tail switch which Fenix is settling upon, because taking a look at their most recent releases, they seem to be alternating between this style, as well as a dual button style that you can find on the TK16V2 and TK26R flashlights, which have also come out this year. However, the PD36 TAC being their most recent release, coupled with the fact that this design is very stark in difference to the other two brands, allows for a more meaningful comparison. Now, this design has the effect of artificially lengthening the overall profile of the tail cap, because where you would expect the tail switch to begin, right here, at the end of the threaded portion, there is instead this rotary portion, which is about that is metric, which is about 1/3 of an inch long. The rotary switch, this portion with the white line designating which of the 3 settings you are on, can be clicked to either of these 3 positions. The resistance is fairly mild. There is ever so slight sensation of fine grittiness, like imagine sliding 2 brushed sheet metal pieces against each other. Just ever so slight. And you can hear the click. Let me bring the mic closer. You can hear the click when it locks into one of the 3 positions. Now, as for the tail switch button, I find myself at a bit of an impasse. On the one hand, I thoroughly enjoy this hard plastic tail switch button, which has replaced what one usually encounters, the rubber, usually a longer, deeper, or silicone button. However, it has been noted by my coworkers a potential cause for concern one might have when using a tactical flashlight is the hypothetical unexpected or high-stress situations. For instance, if you drop this in a puddle and the light gets wet, or you work with grease and oil and your hands get slippery or sweaty, the rubber switches offer potentially more grip via the sort of friction that you naturally get with that type of texture, whereas this is a very smooth polymer button. So there could be potential slippage, but because it is so wide and flat, I find myself getting very easy purchase on the button. Then of course, there is also the classic chemistry dichotomy of rigidity versus ductility. Should you drop this flashlight and it hits just the right spot, it might break this tail switch, whereas a rubber one, because of the material that it is, would just bend and reform back to its original shape. Contrapositively, a sharp edge or point or a very abrasive texture could wear away or puncture a rubber switch, while it would merely scratch this hard plastic or perhaps leave a chip, but it wouldn't really affect the operability. Now, for the overall tactile feel of the Fenix tail switch, I very much enjoy this tail switch button. The partial depress is very easy and simple to actuate, with almost little to no resistance and very little travel. And in the past, I've described it before as akin to firing a striker-fired gun. When you reach the length of the partial depress, you hit a definite wall. And then afterwards, you require more force to break past that to get into the full depress. Now, functionality is what I admire most about this particular Fenix tail cap setup. I have always been a proponent of simplicity when it comes to tactical flashlights. I just want my max, my turbo, whatever the highest lumen setting is, and a very quick, fast way of accessing strobe. That is what this 4-point star mode, or tactical mode, as Fenix describes it, is capable of. When you click over to tactical mode, the light will always activate on 1 and only one of its high settings. For the Fenix PD36 TAC specifically, it is 2000 lumen. So here, your partial depress is momentary. So the light stays on as long as you maintain pressure and deactivates once you relieve pressure. Your full depress past the click will leave it on at 2000 lumen, and another full depressed past the click will deactivate the flashlight. And of course, whether the light is on or off, holding the tail switch past the click will activate strobe mode. The next setting on your rotary switch is the lock. This, as the name suggests, locks your tail switch, giving you a simple and effective mechanism for transporting your light without any concerns of accidental activation or potential battery drain. Now, Fenix advertises this rotary mechanism as purely mechanical, which renders it immune to any electronic interference, which is just a fancy way of saying that this is a real physical action happening internally. It's not just some microchip or a circuit board that is programmed to go on, oh, tactical mode, alrighty, running tactical mode, or oh, now it's on lock mode, running program lock mode. Finally, the rectangular-ish incomplete recycle sign, the loop, is the setting for daily mode, which gives you the option to cycle through all of your brightness settings. The partial depress here still acts as a momentary switch. However, because the partial depress is also responsible for changing the brightness modes, every time you use it for momentary, each subsequent hold will be the next brightness setting. The full depress activates the flashlight completely, and it will stay on until you full depress again, past the click, to deactivate the flashlight. However, as I mentioned earlier, while the light is on, your partial depresses will cycle through the brightness settings. And, much like in tactical mode, holding it in full depress, whether the light is on or off, will get you strobe mode. So, that's the Fenix tail cap. Now, let's move on to the Nitecore tail switch. Here is the Nitecore tail cap. This is the tactical tail cap, which Nitecore calls their patented strobe-ready technology, second generation. This has been present thus far on the P22R, the i4000R, the TM9K, P10i, P20i, P20iX, and P20iUV. Now, what is great about this Nitecore tactical tail cap setup is its simplicity. The part that juts out is clearly just a classic tail switch, and the embedded mode pedal, much like its namesake, changes the modes. The tail switch will be familiar to anyone that has ever used a flashlight with this kind of rubberized tail switch. The partial depress activates momentary on, and keeps the flashlight on until you release pressure. And with a full depress, you get that definite bright click. And this is what keeps the light constant on, until you deactivate with a second click. Now, on all of the lights that I had listed earlier, tapping the mode pedal will cycle through your brightness settings while the light is on. And this function is true for all of them. However, the mode pedal will have different functions for some of the lights and different functions for some of the other lights. In general, holding the mode pedal while the light is on or off will give you strobe mode, which I believe makes it a fantastic feature, especially because it is a dedicated option. The strobe activation is nearly instantaneous, unlike the Fenix light, which, according to their own documentation, requires a 0.8 second delay. Do you see that? Delay. Gives me time to say the word delay, whereas the P20i, it's as soon as I hit the button. However, some of the Nitecore lights, such as the TM9K and P20iX, holding the mode pedal will activate turbo. That is because these flashlights are the ones with the incredibly high burst turbos. With the TM9K, you double tap the mode pedal for strobe. And with the P20iX, if the flashlight is on, holding the mode pedal means you get the 4000 lumen turbo, and if you hold the mode pedal while the flashlight is off, then it is strobe, like this one. Either way, it is best to familiarize yourself with your light, so you know exactly what it'll do each time. Now, one minor gripe I have about the Nitecore tail cap is the overall profile of the mode pedal. I do not have very large hands, yet the mode pedal is just too flush, and ever so slightly too thin in this orientation under the tail cap switch. In essence, I can't just mindlessly hit the mode pedal without fear of hitting the regular thumb switch first. I have to almost angle my thumb a bit and make sure it's hooked underneath the regular tail switch before I can confidently go in, knowing that I'm only going to hit the mode pedal. Because your thumb pad is just too big to be able to only hit the mode pedal without hitting the regular tail switch. So that is the Nitecore Tactical tail cap. Finally, let us take a look at the Olight tail cap. Olight seems to really enjoy this style of tail cap. A very stylish brushed metal that is flush with a metal ring that runs around it. You can find this on almost all of their flashlights, from their M2R Pro Warriors to their Warrior X Pro, the Odin series, Mini and Turbo, to their Javlots, as well as their Freyr, and even the new Warrior Mini 2. The only Olight lights that do not use this style of tail cap are their Seeker series and much smaller EDC pocket lights, such as the i3T, i5T, and S1Rs, which don't have a tail switch. Right off the bat, there is one clear distinction you see in this tail cap from the Fenix and Nitecore ones. Plastic, rubber, metal. And in my book, metal always wins. The second obvious distinction is its ability to tail stand, because this tail switch does not protrude outward like the rubber ones that you normally see on tail switch flashlights. Additionally, they added these three sort of metal parapets that come out from the outer ring, which give it a nice 3-point purchase. Additionally, of course, the tail cap is magnetic, and this is a steel table, and it allows these types of flashlights with this Olight metal tail switch to adhere to ferromagnetic surfaces for potential hands-free use. Now, because it is just one sort of large flat tail switch, the button is very easily accessible and very easy to actuate. However, I always felt with the Olight tail switches, particularly this tactical style, that the entire switch is very mushy. The partial depress and full depress with the click, they're not really distinct. The click almost feels just like a sound. The pressure stays the same. You don't feel like you're breaking past anything. It's just you keep going and you just hear the click sound. I rarely make the mistake of accidentally pushing all the way through past a click with the Nitecore and Fenix, but I often fully depress when I only want it to partial, and vice versa with the Olight tail switch. Now, the one critical drawback for me when it comes to the Olight tail cap is the inability to access strobe mode. Now, I am not certain if Olight as a brand is, in general, moving away from strobe, or if they are just very, very strict minimalist. But there are quite a few lights that you would expect to have strobe that do not. For instance, the Warrior X Pro. It is marketed as a long throw flashlight, but it is tactical nevertheless. It has Warrior in the name, but it only has Turbo and Mode 2. The end. No strobe. They are just so minimalist, which I really enjoy. But I cannot help but feel that a tactical light just is incomplete without strobe. What about the Odin series? Those are the sexiest rifle lights that I have seen. You get the quick attach pick rail mount, the flashlight, the magnetic pressure switch, the rail holder for the pressure pad. But once again, no strobe. Which makes sense on the Odin Turbo, because that's an LEP light, so the strobe would just be dots. But why not the regular Odin or the Odin Mini? Now, Olight lights with this style of tail cap plus a side switch usually do have strobe, such as this M2R Pro Warrior and the newer Warrior Mini 2. However, even in these two flashlights, you do not have that fast, readily accessible strobe in the tail switch. You get it by triple tapping the side switch, which to me just isn't gratifying enough. Thus, for the Olight Tactical tail cap, this specific style, what stands out for me the most is the metal material choice, the metal tail switch, and the other benefit of being able to magnetically use it without having to use your hands. That concludes the triple tactical tail cap breakdown from the most recent tail caps from Fenix, Nitecore, and Olight that you'll find on their newer flashlights marketed as tactical. In summary, the Fenix to me is like Neapolitan ice cream. It is a little bit of everything to make everyone happy. It has your tactical mode, lock, and daily mode. You might only like parts of it, you might not like some parts of it, but hey, at the end of the day, it's still ice cream. The Nitecore has the dedicated strobe pedal with the fastest response time, and it's a blend of the classic with the rubberized tail switch, with a touch of the modern with the mode pedal. It's like apple pie. Screw it, I'm Texan, it's pecan pie. The Olight, on the other hand, has the looks in my book. It's sleek, silver aesthetic, the great material choice. If you can't tell, I really like metal. The no strobe, though, means the no cheese. But hey, I still like a regular burger. I should really stop writing scripts when I'm hungry. All in all of the lights that I have mentioned are available at longhorntactical.com. If you have enjoyed this video, or think I'm a big dumb fart, please leave a comment or suggestion below. If you would like to stay up to date on future product releases from brands such as Fenix, Olight, Nitecore, and more, sales announcements, and all things flashlight related, please consider subscribing to the Longhorn Tactical YouTube channel. And thank you.